On from where we left off with the single line diagram editing, we now have some sim data loaded up for our test network within the browser. At this point it is sim data, conforms to the overall sim UML, but we want to know how it works against some existing sim profiles. To do this, we have the validation editor, which we showed in a previous video, but we've since enhanced for this more recent edition of Cimphony. From our loaded window here, we have some options now to choose to validate, and we select which profile we wish to validate with. There is a number existing within Cimphony, and we will take here, we have the ENTSO-E and CDPSM profiles for Sim15. If we look at the profile group for ENTSO-E, we can decide we wish to validate using the equipment and the diagram layout profiles. We can also choose to open a validation report. We click finish, it has validated all of our data. We have our validation output here. Double clicking here on one of the editors moves them to full screen. So we can see here that there has been some problems. All of the diagram objects have failed because name must be set. The same generating unit has some errors. Bus bar, two terminals here, are actual instances of them, have errors as well. Within the browser window here, you can see that now the classes are highlighted as to which ones have errors. We can close the validation output report here at the moment, and this restores us back to the standard Cimphony perspective. If we click on the class here, we can see which validation profile is active and where the problems have occurred. So in this example, the diagram profile is validated successfully, but we have issues with the equipment profile. Both of our bus bar section instances have problems, and we can see here the problem is that name must be set. If we select our bus bar here, we could choose to give it a name. We could call this LV bus and call this one MV bus. So we can see here now the validation for this instance is now correct. Everything has passed. For LV bus, the same is true. We can choose to manually refresh our view here if it hasn't updated. So we can see now our bus bars are now validating. If we select our conforming load, once again, the conforming load, it is looking for both a load group and a name. So we can give it a name, load A. And we can see now that the name must be set, passes, but we're now looking for a load group. So what we could do here is actually choose to add in a load group object. If we click on the show empty links, we can see everything that conforming load should have. So one of these associations is for the load group. We can see down here is marked as having a problem, as in this is looking for this to be set. If we click on the load group and now click the plus icon, we can see which classes within the Sim15 schema match with that association. In this case, only one, the conforming load group. If we click, we can tell it we want to add one instance and also want to add it to the reference we've selected. If we click OK, we have now added our load group in, and we have our conforming load group. It appears here in our list, and we can see now our conforming load is passing. All of the rules that it must meet are valid. We can turn off the view here to simplify it down. But of course we now have the problem where our conforming load group itself is looking for a name and a subload area. We could continue this process, adding a name for it, and adding a subload area in. The other thing, if we look at, for example, transformers here, is looking for a name for it. What we may decide what to do at this point now is enhance the model. We can start to add things like substations. So if we want to add a substation, so it has a problem, it's looking for a region and a name. But of course, when it says region, it means a subgeographical region in this context. If we click on substation, expand it out, turn on, show the empty links, we can see here it's looking for our region. We click add, we see subgeographical region. We can add this in. Our subgeographical region itself is looking for it to be part of our region. But of course, we already have a geographical region defined. If we select both of these, we can load up both instances within the instances window and expand them out. And at this point, we could decide that within the region's association of geographical region, we can drag our subgeographical region in to add it. So now if we click on our subgeographical region again, we can see that the region must be set as passed, but now it's just looking for it to have a name. So we can decide a sub-region of Scotland, and we'll call this Strathclyde. So now if we look at our sub-geographical region, it's passed everything. If we go into our substation, it's still looking to have a name set for it, so we'll call our substation Glasgow. So here we can see our sub-geographical region is passed, substation is passed, and at this point we can decide we also wish to add equipment into our substation. Power transformers are generally contained by the substation, not a voltage level, so if we select our power transformer, we can see that the power transformer must have an equipment container, and our substation is a type of equipment container, so we could drag our substation here, which gives our power transformer the Glasgow substation equipment container, and the inverse has been added, whereby our substation now contains a power transformer. The other equipment should go within voltage levels either side, but you can see here how we can use the editor to add in associations and attributes and build up our sim data. All the time our validation is active. We could decide to change the validation profile we're using, so we could decide we wish to validate it on the sim distribution power system model, and we want to select its functional validation profile. We could select the entire group where all four will be used, but in this case the electrical properties as set in geographical are not relevant to what we're doing. We won't bother with a validation report this time when we click finish, so we can see here now that some of the existing errors still exist. It's looking for the name, terminal, base voltage and power transformer, but our diagram and diagram objects that previously were invalid are now fine because they are fine for this profile. So we can use this to change the validation profiles that we're running. There's a registry of validation profiles. Some come as standard with Cimphony, and in future releases we hope to provide a software development kit so users can define their own validation profiles based off of custom profiles for the sim that are defined based on their requirements. So this is given a more overview of how we can use the browser to create and edit sim data, and how the new validation interface is used to provide on-the-fly validation feedback.